Ooh. Okay. It's doing that thing where it makes my eyes look really like I'm one of the baddies from Thingy again. I don't know. Everything yours looks really grainy. Is it just our light?
Probably. I mean, we could try putting the main light on.
Shall I try to put the main light on? Didn't we do this before?
I'll put the main light on.
I'm having really bad deja vu about this. Like I'm actually trapped in our own little sitcom. When the main light decides to come on. That does look better. It must be the light. This is... My makeshift holder's looking weird, so look, we're right down the bottom of the screen. Should I bring this in closer? Is that better?
No. Hello.
Hi. Okay, so as always, there will be spoilers ahead.
What
for
are we
we're
talking
watching? I don't know. It's really bugging me that we seem to be sat at the bottom of the screen like we're peeping. But
Are we going to end up starting this one again once you get everything the way it's going to be? I'm sure they don't want to see us.
I don't know. I'm tempted to leave it all in because
This on some of the other videos Paul does, this would end up being part of the outtakes reel. So
yeah,
enjoy.
you just get to see us in all our uncut glory. Oh, that sounded
That's
terrible.
a bad phrase.
But incidentally,
No.
so WandaVision.
Oh right, so that's what we're talking about.
Wait, what did you think we were talking about?
Drag race.
Oh no, that's. I don't know. We need to possibly go back and rewatch that because we watched that. Look, they're not here for this. They're not here for this conversation. So we've just. Or are they? So we've just watched episodes 1 and 2 of WandaVision because they've both been released today, or I believe, as the kids say, dropped. But to me, it just sounds like if you drop it, you break it. If you break it, you bought it. So yeah, I was just taught not to drop things as a child, so I prefer released. I'm just clearly turning into that old twat. So
I agreed with that a bit too readily then, didn't I?
Slightly. I'm moving on. I'm just moving on. Yeah, I absolutely adored. Can I carry on now?
Yes, you can. See, it's annoying, isn't it, when people keep interrupting you and talking over you?
No. I loved it. I thought it was brilliant.
It was
Absolutely
amazing.
class. So, obviously you've seen it. So you've, obviously. So you have.
Well, if you haven't seen it, what the fuck are you doing watching us right now?
What are you watching us for anyway?
Well, there is that.
Anyway, so the first episode is that kind of the Archies, the Honeymooners, I Love Lucy era sitcom.
Yes.
And then the second one is quite clearly because of how they do the
Title
titles.
sequence.
I mean, the title sequence may have been relevant, but I'm not familiar with the Honeymooners, the Archers, I Love Lucy. I'm aware of them. I'm not familiar with them.
No.
So if it was directly
I'm
a lift of one of those, then I wouldn't know.
Well, I'm definitely way more familiar with
Bewitched.
and it was absolutely the Bewitched intro, but done for WandaVision.
Yeah.
And I also...
And by the way, we do mean, the comedy from America. We don't mean 90s double denim Irish girl band Bewitched, just so we're clear.
And I also assume that the reason why they've dropped the first 2 episodes simultaneously is so you kind of see that there is that difference between...
I thought that. Because otherwise, I think if you just watched episode 1, I think there'd be an awful risk a lot of people wouldn't come back.
Yes.
Because you wouldn't have enough of the groundwork of what's
going on.
potentially going on here to think. But they nail the style. I was in both. Again, my experience of what episode 1 is based on is limited. And even then largely based on when Will and Grace did the parody episode of it, to be fair. Loved it. Hilarious. And Paul Bettany, I think, has got the most amazing comic timing. I'm not aware I've seen him do comedy before. Hello.
No, I think actually thinking about it, most of... I think until Vision...
Yeah,
he's mostly popped up in those like weird semi-culty, sci-fi horror types, like Priest.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. So yeah, brilliant. Now, I mean, and it's one of those weird things where, I mean, when I'm on stage, I'm known for comedy, and this can sound really big-headed.
Sometimes intentionally.
Fuck you, cunt. And I'm fucking good at it, frankly. And
He really is.
It's something I've been told frequently in my career is that I do have an extreme talent, a very extreme talent. That sounds like a snowboard or something. Yeah. I do snowboard panto. That would be weird, wouldn't it? Might be worth a try. But it's my comic timing is exceptional and natural. And a lot of people talk about how hard it is. I just don't find it that hard. I find it hard in as much as keeping that going for a couple of hours takes a lot out of you. So on screen it's slightly different because the way production works in television is slightly different. So actually I'd imagine it's probably slightly hard. I've never done a comedy role on TV because I've only ever been an extra on TV. Let's just be clear about this.
I would
couple of tellies and a casualty. That's me.
I would say it's probably harder because of the stop-start
and then yeah, exactly. That's kind of where I was going with it. And he's absolutely outstanding, amazing, phenomenal.
And to be fair, I mean Elizabeth Olsen. I mean, we've raved about Paul Bettany. It works as well because of Elizabeth Olsen.
Did you just look at the screen to get her name?
No. She's actually one of the few actors I can remember that her and Paul Bettany are probably two of the few actors' names I can actually generally remember.
Okay.
Weirdly. But yeah, I think it's quite interesting as well, especially the first episode, because again, like sort of you were saying earlier, it's not a style of show that I ever really grew up watching. I did actually used to watch Bewitched. I think that's mainly because I grew up with my grandparents.
Well, again, and I think our generation, Bewitched reran a lot for us. So we had it like tea times and things like that. Yeah,
and the colour version.
And then I think it ran again when we were in our early 20s, like when Channel 4 did like a whole.
Yeah.
I want to say then, but yeah.
Yeah. So obviously not massively familiar with things like I Love. I mean, obviously, people of our generation, moving our circles, you're generally aware of it, as much because of some of the controversy around like the storylines, because it's very of its time. But again, also the fact that you sort of think that they're essentially recreating these styles of show. So it's just like, are we literally going to sit there for like half an hour, completely po-faced, and it's just like, yeah, it's clever, but it's not funny. It's not this. It's just going to be horribly dated for this type of audience. No, I mean there are times I'm genuinely laughing at the
intentional comedy in the comedy,
the literal sitcom situation, and they stay very faithful to the spirit and the style of those shows while still managing to kind of update. I mean, yes, it's not your current day sitcoms. It's not like cutting edge humor or anything like that. It is very, very safe, almost bland humor, but it works in the concept of the show.
It's like pre-Young Ones. This kind
of... and I think it's probably safe to say that one of the reasons it works, and it's something that they talked about a lot with people like Paul Merton and Carolina Holm, and they talk about their comedy, especially Caroline when she did Sister Mary Immaculate, which is it's the comedy of the unexpected, and it's that juxtaposition of characters that you don't expect to be in that type of situation or saying those kind of things, like a nun swearing essentially, is potentially inherently funny just because it's so absurd and so unexpected that it's that whole you laugh because you don't know what else to do almost. But no, absolutely love it. They do drop some absolutely glorious hints that even from like episode 1 that something weird's going on. There are some lovely moments where and again this is more sort of Elizabeth's character, but Paul gets them as well, where they kind of drop the sitcom and they become themselves.
Well, it's the moment where the boss is on the floor choking, and she drops that Wanda and becomes movie Wanda and goes, Vision, help him.
Yeah.
So it's almost like if you imagine they were an on stage play, it would be that dropping out of character and go no help, dropping the voice. So there's that. Then you had it wasn't that. What was the thing in that episode? That was the red light.
Red light.
So it was the red light on the toaster. It was a Stark Industries toaster, and initially, I don't think it's anything to do with it. I think it's just how I perceived it. And then once they zoomed in, I realised I think I was completely barking up a wrong tree. But the two knobs and the dials look like a bus.
Okay.
I don't think it means anything. I think it's just what I saw, and I don't think it's. But I can't say I noticed. I'm saying it now, just in case down the line it does turn out to be something. And I go, see, there's my bus. I genuinely don't think it is a bus at all. Let's do a Kyle. If you think it was a bus, comment down below. I do love Kyle, by the way. I know I dig him, but he's
and don't forget to like our videos.
Like and subscribe. We don't give a fuck if you do or don't. Honestly, we don't. So that
I definitely don't. It's not my channel.
So then in the second episode, you had the helicopter, which was very clearly based on Iron Man.
Yes.
And then also you've got the voice that we are puzzled about.
I don't think it was...
No, it just sounded a bit to me like Cap. The whole wonder who's doing this to you.
But again, at the end, where you kind of hear the voice again, it's very obviously a different voice at that point.
Yeah. My initial feeling was it sounded to me a bit like Chris Evans, but I don't think it is. But of course, the other thing is we don't know when this is in timelines, because obviously there's a whole unreality to it. And don't forget, Cap is somehow living the life again.
Yes.
So a cameo isn't out of the question. But I don't think it is. But I'm just saying it's not impossible. No.
And there's also
interestingly, I made a connection completely by miss accident. That's not a phrase.
By
mistake or accident. Just pick one. And I said,
we are bigly proud of our videos. We really are.
Yeah, massively. I said about the character. What was her name? She turned out to be their assistant, black lady.
We even looked it up. Yeah,
Geraldine. I was like, oh, isn't she Monica Rambeau? And
we all went,
no, it's not her. And then we went, no, actually, it's not her at all. And then I had a little. Well, you looked her up after the show, and she is playing Monica Rambeau in the next Captain Marvel movie. So I think somewhere in the back of my head, I'd clocked the casting announcement and randomly actually remembered something accurately.
Because
note that because it doesn't fucking happen.
Because knowing the casting, because for example, we know Kat Denning is in it. Is it Denning or Dennings?
I don't know. I didn't know she was in it. You told me.
Anyway, I knew that Kat was in it. So again, given what we've seen from the first two episodes, I'm kind of curious to see as to whether she will basically be playing, Mjolnir, her character from the Thor movies. Obviously, that wasn't her character, but
she's playing the hammer.
Or whether she's just going to be kind of brought into it. But the other big thing, which again we still haven't had confirmed, and we're kind of going on our own experiences of various aspects of the larger Marvel universe, is the emblem that was on the notebook at the end of season one, episode one even, and also on the helicopter of episode 2. I didn't say season that time. Which we think is
it is
sword logo.
But it's a sword. Yeah. It is a sword.
Yeah, it's definitely a sword.
So I'm fairly certain it's the sword logo. Now I'm not massive. Basically, my experience of sword comes from a Flash game I used to play on Facebook. It was around the time Avengers, the first Avengers movie came out.
Right.
Because the weapon you could get at the time was the Coulson's Revenge.
Yeah.
And they brought a lot of the. It wasn't just based on the movies. It brought a lot of the comic books into it. And Scarlet Witch was in that actually. What was Vision? Don't remember Vision being in it. And Scarlet Witch had this amazing pose where she sort of stood like this. It was may the best woman win.
And my awareness of it is from the Joss Whedon run on Amazing X-Men when they relaunched it, and he obviously brought Kitty Pryde back, and he had the whole, he got the chance to write Kitty like she was a character from Buffy because that was the inspiration. Blah 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 blah. And of course, the first 6 episodes features Sword and the whole thing that Shield is focused on protecting Earth from sort of earthly threats, so mutants, rogue superheroes, that sort of stuff, or supervillains as they would normally be called, and then Sword was focused on extraterrestrial threats, so they'd be looking outwards at things like the Kree Empire, the Skrulls, the Shi'ar, all that sort of stuff.
Which would tie into the information they have announced so far for the next phase of the MCU, which is going to be Kree, Skrull, Captain Marvel, Kang, the
outwards
Conqueror,
away from Earth. And
what's the Watcher dude who just is that his name?
Yatu.
Is he the Watcher?
Oh, is it Yatu?
Yatu.
No, I think it's like IATU. I think it is.
Right. But the dude who basically just turns up when there's going to be a catastrophe.
With the big bald head.
Yeah.
And the weird, like the very
Nikon.
Sort of, yes. Yeah.
So I think I'm sure I've heard some of he's going to be.
Or is it Uatu? Might be Uatu. I don't know. I can't remember.
Bald
it's been
dude.
so long.
Big head.
Yeah.
Megamind. So when Megamind turns up in the MCU,
but not blue.
Oh no. Then that will be that. So it looks like it is hilarious. B, there's obviously a massive arc at play here already, and they've dropped a few little hints. And C, genuinely think it's going to tie into the Marvel movies that come next, because of course God knows when we'll be allowed to go to a cinema and watch them.
Yes.
2027. Fuck knows. Not a clue. But yeah, if it keeps this up, and the thing is, this is tying back into. You get a lot of critics, saying, "Oh, Disney, no." Well, I'm a Disney person, so I never listen to those bitches anyway. And
I don't care if something's good, whoever makes it.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got this. We've got The Mandalorian.
We've got a whole swathe more Marvel MCU shows down the pipeline, which are.
That's what I'm saying. If it all keeps this kind of quality, then back in your box, twats.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of linking to what we were briefly talking about, because this, we've both watched things like Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We're at various points. I still haven't got anywhere beyond middle of season 3.
I need you to catch up so I can watch season 7.
Yes. And also you've got things like Inhumans, which I did not get on with.
I loved.
But this is the first, obviously, of the shows that are officially part of the MCU. And they're properly integrated. Obviously, they feature the characters from the movies, which I think that's what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. suffered from the most was the fact that they at the time they were like, no, movies, TV, never the twain shall meet.
Oh, Sif showed up, and they'd refer to it in a throwaway line. Oh, did you hear on the other side of the world this has just happened?
Yeah.
No, has it really?
But this obviously is properly linked in, and of course all of the other shows that are coming down the pipeline are properly linked in. So they've given the amazing world building they've done for the MCU movie side of things, the playing field they've got to kind of go with the TV shows is just potentially mind-blowing. Of course they can do all the stuff on the TV shows that don't translate well to movies. They like this kind of episodic sort of mystery type setup, and they can play with the format, sorts of stuff. I cannot wait, one, to see where they're going to go with WandaVision first of all, but also if this is the quality of the first show they've launched, what the other shows are going to be like, and how they kind of potentially all mesh together. I think it's an exciting time to be a fan of Marvel and the MCU.
And also, we should really not allow our reviews to become almost as long as the episode.
Yeah, but that's never going to happen.